11 a.m. While my husband was slowly suffocating in the bathtub, I was down by the playground slide in our apartment complex, chatting with the other moms. The slide sat directly beneath the bathroom window of our unit, no more than a few dozen feet away in a straight line. If I'd gone home at 11, as I usually did, I could have saved his life. But that day, Lily's mom had just bought a new dress. She was so enthusiastic, she invited several of us to her place to admire it. At 11:10, when my daughter and I finally got home, my husband was already dead. At the funeral, I was inconsolable, collapsing again and again, grief knocking me unconscious. Everyone pitied me, everyone sighed. My mother-in-law, Linda Carter, an elementary school principal whom I had never met in person, traveled all the way from the far northwest. In front of everyone, she walked straight up to me. Her expression was resolute. Word by word, she said, "You are the murderer who killed my son." One that day was an ordinary late summer Saturday. Ethan Carter had stayed up late for work the night before, so he slept in a bit. He didn't sit down at the dining table for breakfast until 10 a.m. At 10:05, my daughter Mia urged me downstairs for the 8th time. As I squatted by the door to tie Mia's shoelaces, she bobbed her head and made a silly face at her dad. "Daddy is a big lazy bug. The sun's already on your butt before you get up. Shame on you, Daddy." Ethan Carter let out a muffled laugh and made the same silly face back. Mia is a little troublemaker. Just as I opened the door, something occurred to me. Remember to start the bathwater early so she can wash right away when we come back. The bathtub filled slowly. It took more than 20 minutes to get it anywhere near full. Ethan Carter held a bun in one hand and saluted with 2 fingers at his temple with the other. "Don't worry, ma'am. Mission guaranteed." I rolled my eyes. "We're going." The slide was right downstairs, always the busiest place in the whole complex. Kids ran everywhere. Parents clustered in circles, chatting. After sitting with a few familiar moms for a while, I patted my pocket and realized I rushed out without my phone. I turned to Lily's mom beside me. "What time is it?" I left my phone at home. Lily's mom, showing off, pulled out her brand new folding phone and announced loudly, 10:40. The moment she finished speaking, the second-floor bathroom window in my unit opened. Ethan Carter stuck his head out, smiling as he called down to me, "Babe, I started the water. Play a little longer and then come up." I glanced at Mia, sweating and having the time of her life, and gave an okay sign. "Got it." Ethan Carter then politely waved to the moms to say hello before closing the window. The moms sighed in admiration. "Your husband is seriously the perfect husband, handsome, great personality. I heard he became a partner this year, right? That's gotta be, what, hundreds of thousands a year? Hundreds of thousands, not even close. A lawyer at his level makes at least $1 million a year. Mia's mom, you can be a stay-at-home mom without a single worry. Weekends he helps with chores and cooking. Always smiling, no bad habits. Compared to mine, honestly, it's like heaven and earth. I don't even envy the money, I envy your marriage. Just look at that car accident. He really would have died for you." The moms nodded, full of envy. Half a year ago, Ethan and I were driving to buy houseplants when an 18-wheeler rear-ended us. The car flipped. The front burst into flames. His side, the driver's side, ended up on top. He was pulled out quickly. I was pinned underneath, unable to move. As the fire grew, everyone backed away. Everyone except Ethan Carter. He went crazy, yanking and pulling again and again. His hands were sliced open, blood pouring. He screamed hoarsely, "Please save my wife, please. Save her." When he finally dragged me out with sheer force, less than 5 seconds later, the car exploded. Someone filmed the whole thing and posted it online. It went viral. People said I must have saved the galaxy in a past life to find a husband who loved me this much. Remembering that scene, my eyes stung. Ethan Carter usually looked like a gentle, polished professional. I never expected him to be that fierce, that fearless when it mattered. Afterward, 2 fingers on his right hand never fully recovered. He couldn't do fine movements anymore. I cried every time I looked at them. He patted my head and smiled as he comforted me. "It's okay. I make my living with my brain." Even if I lost 2 more fingers, it wouldn't stop your husband from providing for you. And at that moment, surrounded by the other mom's admiration, I nodded honestly. Yes, he really is the perfect husband. 2. My husband isn't bad either, Lily's mom said, raising her voice. My husband went to Paris this time and brought me back several designer dresses. Gorgeous. Come to my place and I'll show you. Lily's mom had married an older man. She constantly displayed how much her husband adored her, as if proving she hadn't married for money, but for love. I smiled and shook my head. I'm not going. I need to take Mia upstairs for a bath. You guys go. Lily's mom loved competing with me. She immediately looked displeased. Didn't your husband just say you could come up later? Going to my place won't take long. Don't tell me you won't even give me that much face. At 11 o'clock, I left Lily's mom's apartment. At 11:05, I caught Mia sprinting wildly near the slide, grabbed her, and dragged her home. At first, she refused. She pleaded, just 5 more minutes. Mommy, please, the last 5 minutes. But I shut it down with the bath water will get cold. She had to say goodbye to her friends one by one, sulking. The parents sitting nearby watched with amused smiles, sharing a knowing look with me. At 11:08, Mia and I reached the second floor. Our single neighbor across the hall, Ryan, was coming out to take out the trash. His face flushed slightly as he greeted me. Mia tugged his hand sweetly and asked when he could help her build Lego again. Meanwhile, I took out my keys and opened the door. At 11:09, while Mia said goodbye to Ryan in the corridor, I called, "Honey," but no one answered. I walked into the bathroom. At 11:10, I screamed. Ethan Carter's pale face was submerged beneath the water. His eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling. He was already dead. A lot of people came to the funeral. Ethan's colleagues and friends, neighbors from the complex, even representatives from a charity organization holding a memorial banner. Only then did everyone learn, over the past few years, Ethan Carter had been donating through that charity to help children in impoverished rural areas more than $20,000 a year, totaling well over $100,000. People sighed in disbelief. What a good man. God has no eyes. Why would something like this happen to him? Good people die young and the wicked live forever. He did so much pro bono work. He'd just been promoted to partner this year. He even said he was going to work even harder for his wife and child. And then they loved each other so much. How can Mia's mom survive this? She's fainted several times in just a few days. Thank goodness the community center staff have been staying with her. Mia's mom has no income. Their place still has a mortgage. If Ethan were alive, it would have been paid off in a year or 2. Now life is going to be hard. It's such a freak accident. They say he passed out in the tub, and then the water ran for 20 minutes, slowly covering his mouth and nose. If he'd woken up at any point, or if Mia's mom had come home, she could have saved him. But I guess it was fate. In the rustling whispers, I sat pale and hollow, staring at Ethan's photo, dazed. These past few days, I'd been swallowed by grief, crying until my insides felt torn apart, fainting again and again. Anyone would pity me. A community social worker sat beside me, offering warm words from time to time. Lily's mom came over, guilt all over her face. Mia's mom. I'm so sorry. If you hadn't come to my place and lost time that day, maybe Ethan wouldn't have died. By the end of the sentence, she covered her mouth and burst into tears. I shook my head miserably. No, it's not your fault. It's mine. I told him to start the water early. I forgot my phone, so he had to open the window to call down to me, and that made him fall. I said I'd be home at 11, but I dragged my feet and came back 10 minutes late. It's all my fault. I did this. I killed him. The social worker hurried to stop me. Mia's mom, you can't think like that. These things happen by pure chance. No one can control them. And the police said it themselves. It was an accident. A tiny probability accident. That day when I screamed, Ryan was the first to rush in. The moment he realized what had happened, He blocked Mia outside the door and called 911. After examining the scene and interviewing people, the police reconstructed what likely happened. 10:40, Ethan Carter started the bathwater and opened the window to talk to me. Because the window was to the side of the tub and opened inward, he had leaned sideways to stick his head out. When he closed it, he lost his balance, fell into the tub, and passed out. 10:40 to 11 o'clock. The water rose slowly until it covered his head. 11 o'clock to 11:05. After 5 minutes of drowning, Ethan suffocated to death. He never regained consciousness. There were no signs of struggle or splashing. 11:10. I came home and discovered the scene. During that time, from Ethan appearing at the window to me returning, the hallway showed no one entering or leaving. No suspicious traces were found. It was classified as an accidental death. Someone sighed. It really is like that saying, when death wants you at midnight, who can keep you alive till dawn? Who's that at the door? It's scorching outside. Why is she dressed so heavily? Seriously, isn't she hot? I kept my head down like a walking corpse, unaware of everything around me. She's walking toward Mia's mom. Don't it tell me she's one of those people who comes to the bereaved family asking for some gift money. That would be outrageous. This isn't some celebration. A pair of women's gray sneakers came into view. They were old, patched with a small piece of matching fabric, dusty as if they'd traveled far. Mia's mom, do you recognize me? A slightly weathered voice spoke. It was close right by my ear. I slowly lifted my head. An elderly woman's face, dry, wrinkled skin. White at the temples, but beneath drooping lids, her eyes burned sharp. In the heat of summer, she wore a thin wool coat completely out of season, one arm hooked through a worn black handbag. In the other hand, she carried an old enamel mug. I'm Linda Carter, she said. Your mother-in-law, the one you've never met. I stared at her blankly. Exhausted neurons began to connect. To assemble, to click, my eyes widened. Mom? Linda Carter nodded slowly. Good, you recognize me? People crowded closer. So this is Ethan's mother. Parents sending off a child. Please accept our condolences. It's good you're here. Family can support each other. At least Maya's mom and the child won't be so alone. Someone tried to take Linda's bag and mug. She shook her head and refused. She turned to look at Ethan's funeral photo, then fixed her gaze directly on me. The day I learned my son was dead, I left Garland and traveled here without stopping, she said, because I needed to tell the police one thing. She stared at me, resolute, each word carved out. You are the murderer who killed my son. For after saying that, Linda Carter turned and left. No one could stop her. She appeared out of nowhere and vanished just as suddenly, as if she had come only to say that sentence. Everyone looked at each other, stunned, and then came to comfort me. Mia's mom, she must be out of her mind with grief. Don't take it to heart. You can't be both heartbroken and angry right now. Yeah. An old lady from the countryside, no understanding of the situation. Someone probably told her nonsense, and she believed it. Later you can talk it out. Why have we never seen Ethan's mom before? He dies and suddenly she shows up. Could she be here to fight for the child and the money? Not just seen, never even heard of her. Mia's mom, she just said you'd never met. Are you sure she's really his mother? I didn't answer. I was so weak I could barely hold myself up. The social worker handed me a cup of hot tea. All right, everyone, stop asking. The most important thing is finishing the funeral properly and letting Mia's mom rest. Everything else can be handled later. I lowered my head and sipped the tea. My mind cleared a little, yes. Linda Carter really was Ethan Carter's biological mother. 8 years ago, when Ethan and I married, I saw her for the first time on a video call. When Ethan was 15, she divorced his father, left everything behind, and went to teach in the far Northwest. Mother and son separated. They hadn't been in contact for years. After Ethan's father died and Ethan became financially stable, he finally tracked her down and wanted to bring her back to be cared for. She refused. She said when she chose to go teach in the mountains, she had sworn she would never leave that land. In recent years, Ethan had traveled to see her twice on his own. As for me, I spoke with her briefly only once a year on Mia's birthday through a short video call. Now I was drowning in confusion and bewilderment. Why had this woman, who swore she would never leave the far northwest, suddenly come all this way? Why had she suddenly accused me with those words? Lost in grief, I couldn't make sense of it. After the funeral, Linda Carter did not leave the city. She stayed, not in my home, of course. She settled in a cheap motel near downtown. Late at night, the moon hung high, looking down on the world's joys and sorrows. I sat alone, wiping tears as I stared at Ethan's photo, and I made a decision. No matter why she had come, for the child, for the assets, or because of some misunderstanding, she was still my husband's mother, my child's grandmother. I couldn't completely ignore her. 5. The next day, I packed some basic supplies, bedding, sheets, and knocked on Ryan's door across the hall. When he saw me, his gaze trembled. He fumbled with his hair and clothes, flustered. I expressed as gently as I could that I needed help and asked if he had time, if it would be convenient to drive me somewhere. Of course, he said. Anytime. Ryan drove Mia and me to the cheap motel near downtown. The place was old and dim. A sign outside read, "Rooms from $30-something a night." "Mom," Mia said in her childish voice, "Grandma lives here. It's so broken." "Can we let Grandma stay at our place?" I sighed. "Grandma is stubborn. She won't agree." Ryan came over carrying bags. "Mia's mom. There's too much. I'll bring it up for you." I hesitated. "No, it's too much trouble. Just wait here." Ryan's face held concern. In a warm voice, he said, "That day she said those things to you. If you're alone with her, what if you argue? If I'm there, I can keep an eye on things, mainly so Mia doesn't get scared." I gave a bitter smile and nodded. "Thank you. Sorry to trouble you." When I saw Linda Carter again, she was sitting in that bare room, fiddling with her phone. When she saw me in the doorway, she froze for a moment, then stood up, calm and steady. I took a deep breath and spoke slowly. "Mom, I know you probably don't want to move back in. I brought you some things. Whatever misunderstanding you have about me, I hope, if only for Ethan and Mia, you won't refuse this small kindness." I glanced back at Ryan. He carried the bags inside, set them down, and silently retreated into the hallway. Linda Carter stood there without speaking. No acceptance, no rejection, just a blank face. Mia walked up timidly and whispered, "Grandma, why won't you come home with us? Mommy says Daddy went on a business trip far away and want to be back for a long time. Can you live with us and wait for Daddy together?" For a split second, Linda's eyes softened. Her rough palm stroked Mia's head. The corners of her deeply lined eyes reddened. "Mia, sweetheart, Grandma has something very important to do. For now, I can't go back with you." "Grandma, I miss Daddy. Do you miss Daddy too?" "Yes," she said. "Grandma misses him very much." She looked calm, but her trembling voice betrayed what she tried to hide. I turned to Ryan and whispered something. He immediately came in and coaxed Mia downstairs first. The room was left with only Linda Carter and me. That cheap motel was wedged between rows of high-rises, with only a thin slice of daylight slipping through the battered window. The noise outside only made this narrow corner feel more silent. "I already filed a report," Linda Carter said, watching me evenly. I paused, then sighed softly in the dim doorway. As for suspecting me, the police already cleared that. I had no time to do it, no method, and no motive. Ethan's death harms my life in every way and benefits me in none. How could I possibly kill him? "Mom, I truly don't understand. Why are you so certain I would want my husband dead?" "So that's why you came today?" Linda's voice was steady. "You were curious how someone thousands of miles away could know you, the real murderer, so you came, didn't you?" A sense of helpless grief rose inside me. I wanted to speak, but anything I said felt meaningless. "If you're determined to believe I'm the killer," I said quietly, "then wait for the police to conclude their investigation." I turned and left. I had taken only a few steps down the corridor when Linda's voice rumbled behind me. To be honest, at first, I wasn't completely sure. But you came today and you brought that young man with you. You wanted to mislead me into thinking you had an affair with him, didn't you? You wanted to steer the police down that path so they'd chase nothing. Now I'm sure you're the killer. The last word fell and the hallway plunged into sudden silence. I slowly turned back. In that cramped, shadowed corridor, I met her stare in silence.